The four most commonly used capital budgeting techniques are the payback method, the unadjusted rate of return, the net present value method, and the internal rate of return method. This sequence parallels the pattern of most companies as they grow larger and become more sophisticated in the way they make investment decisions. That is, companies generally first use the payback method or the unadjusted rate of return method because these techniques are relatively simple. Both of these techniques, however, have a serious weakness in that they ignore the time value of money. As a result, most companies eventually turn to either the net present value method or the internal rate of return method, both of which are more theoretically correct approaches to capital budgeting. The last two techniques are referred to as discounted cash flow methods because they use a discount rate in comparing the cash flows of investments. The payback method is widely used in business because it is simple to apply and it provides a preliminary screening of investment opportunities. It can also be used as a crude measure of a project's risk. Basically, this method is used to determine the length of time it will take the net cash inflows of an investment to equal the initial cash outlay. The payback period is a particularly important consideration for companies in tight cash positions. Assuming that the payback period is to be computed in years, actually any time period can be applied, and that equal cash flows are generated for each period, the simple formula for a project's payback period is we take the investment cost and we divide it by the annual net cash inflows. The result will be our payback period. To illustrate the payback method, consider that you are trying to decide to purchase a personal computer, printer, and software for typing and printing essays and term papers for students. A reasonably good PC, printer, and appropriate software will cost a total of about $1,000. Let's assume, for simplicity's sake, that you can borrow the $1,000 from a family member who requires no interest but needs to be repaid at the end of 12 months. You expect to make $125 a month after paying for supplies and other related expenses. The payback period in months may be computed as follows. We take $1,000, our initial investment, and divide it by our net cash inflows each month of $125. The result is 8 months. Because you would generate sufficient cash to recover the investment in 8 months, you would repay the family member within the agreed-upon period of time, assuming you spend none of the money, like that's going to happen. This is one of the strengths of the payback method. It can be used to determine whether an investment fits within an acceptable period for the use of the funds. The payback method has several weaknesses, however. One is that it measures the time needed to recover the initial outlay, but does not consider the investment's overall profitability. Most investments are made in order to earn an acceptable return, not just to recover their costs. For example, you are not solely interested in recovering the $1,000 in the shortest time possible. Your purpose in buying the equipment is to earn some extra money. Assuming that the equipment will last for more than 8 months, you not only will recover your initial investment, but you will also generate subsequent earnings at least $125 a month. Although the payback method may provide some clues about the advisability or risks of investment, it does not directly measure profitability. The other major weakness of the payback method, it does not take into account the time value of money. Now, the payback method can give you a quick idea of the attractiveness of a project, but a serious analysis requires the use of the discounted cash flow methods I discuss later in this chapter.